This segment is sponsored by 417 DIY Center, where you are the mechanic. Hello, this is Steve Helms with CityHomesteader.net. In this episode, we're going to take a plastic 55-gallon drum and turn it into a potato patch that uses less area and grows more potatoes than conventional planting. The barrel that we'll use is one that I've been using as a compost bin and worked quite well, but I didn't like how the opening was set up, especially when I tried to remove the finished compost. The first step is to cut the barrel into sections. If you look at other videos on this subject, you'll see that some people have used a complete barrel or large trash can, but I found it works best to raise the sides as your potatoes grow so they get full sunshine. Last year I used lumber from pallets and they worked okay, but that wood is rotting. A plastic barrel should last much longer. Next, I'm cutting off the top. This will allow me to use this section to fit inside each other section when I stack them on top of each other. If you have a helper, it would make it easier to keep them from moving on you while you cut. You insert the top beveled piece in the bottom section and mark the joint where your two sections would meet. Mark a guide line about 2 inches on either side of your joining point. Next, you'll cut off any excess plastic from your insert piece. Place the insert piece in a stackable section. This will be a little snug, but you can use a clamp to hold it flat until you attach your rivets. I used 3/16 aluminum rivets that I had around the shop. In total, you will need about 4 or 5 rivets. Next, I tested the fit for both sections, the bottom and the stack-on section. It fits perfect. Since you're using a plastic barrel, one important feature is to make sure you have good drainage. Normally, when I plant in a barrel or bucket, I place a layer of gravel on the bottom, followed by a breathable ground cloth to prevent my soil mixture from clogging my drain holes. This time, since I'm always trying to find a new use for those useless gumballs, I place a thin layer of them on the bottom, then the ground cloth. I'm curious to see how they'll hold up for the growing season. The soil mix that I use normally is from Mel Bartholomew's Square Foot Gardening. It's a 1/3 compost, 1/3 coarse vermiculite, and 1/3 peat moss. I mix it in a barrel, adding 1 bucket of each type of material at a time, and then mix up the entire batch. Another good trick that I learned from Lynn Pence at the Gardening Revolution School in Stratford, Missouri, is to use a tarp. Place your material in the tarp and then take the corners, folding it back and forth. This action will mix up your material as well. Concerning the compost, Mel recommends that you use 5 different types of compost. Since I have chickens and rabbits, I use their waste along with leaves, grass clipping, wood chips, and other yard waste that I chip up. If you don't have that, you can buy different types from your lawn and garden store like cow manure, cotton burr, and other types of material. I also water the mix as I go because you want to make sure that your soil mixture is damp, especially if you're going to plant in it right away. Then I add a few inches of soil mixture in the bottom of the barrel. Place it in the spot you want it to grow for the season. Then add your seed potatoes. Some people put in the seed potatoes whole, but I prefer to cut them into sections so I get more plants from one potato. Make sure that you let the cut sides of your seed potatoes dry out for a couple of days. Otherwise, they might rot in the ground. Then you cover up your potatoes with a few inches of soil mix and water as necessary. If you use a raised bed soil mixture, which really isn't soil, you'll need to water your plants more often because the soil mixture drains very good. This is nice because you can't overwater, but it also means that you'll need to water more often. I eventually put all my plants on an automatic water system that uses microheads to pinpoint the water where I want it to go. This really cuts down on my water usage, and I don't have to rely on myself to remember when it's time to water the garden. Stay tuned for our follow-up videos on the next step in growing potatoes in a barrel. This has been Steve Helms with CityHomesteader.net. Thanks for watching.